Hello, my name is Caden and this is my game, Pondlings. 4 months ago. Okay, so since January of this year, I've been working on this game that I call Pondlings, and Pondlings is basically like a desktop fish tank. In this game, you can kind of go off to these different fishing locations and sit and wait, basically, with your line out to try and line up the hook with a potential pondling that could swim across the screen. It's a bit of a gamble, they don't swim across very often, but yeah, considering I've only been working on this for 4 months, I feel pretty happy. You know, looking back to 4 months ago and seeing videos of the pondling where, you know, I've recorded my screen and he can only move in like one of 4 directions is like really funny. It was just really cool to see like the progress of 4 months of work, and, you know, having only learned Godot for 6 months, it's just so cool. But I think what I'd really like to talk about in this video is my approach to making games and how making things expandable has kind of changed everything. The art, I think, works as a really good example to show the design fundamentals of my game. Obviously, I'm not a programmer, I'm a graphic designer, so this stuff is hard. Game development's really hard. I don't know what I'm doing, but I can follow a few kind of important fundamentals that I think help transform my like design brain into programming and making games, and even if it's a bit of an abnormal approach. But the main thing, which I'll talk about next in how I've changed the art for the tank, is how I try to make everything in this game expandable. Everything needs to be, I want to get the most, you know, if I have to code and I have to write code, I want every bit of code that I make, you know, give or take, to be as expandable as possible. I want to get the most out of every bit of code that I make. If I can make code and then I can use that same code somewhere else, that's so exciting. Handy to be able to make, you know, code that you use in multiple places or art that you use in multiple places. These things take a lot of time. Once you've got that system in place, you're done, you're ready. So yeah, I'd like to talk a little bit more about the art. Let's get into that. Okay, so here we are in my project, and yeah, as you can see, this is just my Ace Sprite project that I've made, and I've got this background. I've got some lighting that I've made that's just some like rays of light basically, and then I've got the glass at the back of the tank. So this is not going to appear like, you know, this opaque, but it shows that you're in a glass box basically. Yeah, this actually isn't the whole size of the viewport, which I'll show you in just a second. I got some floorings that I made. These are really bad. These need so much work, but it was more about just showing how they'll fit into the overall system. And then there you go, that pink box and the grey to hide the outside. That's what the player's actually going to see when you're fully zoomed out in your own tank. And the reason I've done that is so that if a pondling swims to like the edge and you're zoomed in and selected on them, you're not going to just see the grey outside of the project, you're actually going to see more tank. So it kind of stops that, keeps the illusion intact basically that you're actually in a tank. This is just such a stupid thing, but that was something I had to figure out, and I had no idea that was going to happen. I didn't know I was even going to implement like a selecting system where you can click on them and it zooms in. I don't even know if I'll keep it, but I like it at the moment. I got some more guides there that I'm just showing you. The basic idea across all of the development of this was I needed to keep the scope really small, but I needed to make everything really easy to change and transform. So in this example, I'm just going to try and hue shift the background to show you that I've made one background texture, and that texture will be really easy to just change the color of. And all of a sudden, you know, you've got 10 ways that like players can express, you know, themselves within their tank however they want to. And that's really cool. Having something that you can just change, and you've got a template and you just make, you know, 4 or 5, and then you make a few colors, and that is like a load of content in your game that, you know, allows and gives people options. That's so cool to me. I've always loved, and that's where the design thing comes in, is it's all about like a system. And I think it's quite clever to do it that way. Now, I kind of forgot to mention this in the actual recording, but because I'm doing a voiceover over the top of my previous recording. But my entire game is based around this. Like, this is the core fundamental part of my game, in that the actual Pondling sprite is intended to be as expandable and as simple as possible. Have you ever wondered why my entire game focuses around a load of fish that look exactly the same, but they have very mundane and minor changes made to them? Well, this is kind of why. It's because I wanted... I really like things that are like super iconic or character based. I like when you've got a bunch of the same thing and there are small changes, and you can start to see the kind of like red string that goes through everything. So that is kind of what I've based the entire Pondling character around, is that it's kind of this place where, for whatever reason, all of these creatures under the water look exactly the same, and we're kind of placing value over one and not the others. Like, I just find it really funny that for whatever reason, one having a red tail somehow makes it more valuable or interesting than just a normal white pondling. Anyway, that's kind of a glimpse into how I've made like expandable design a really core part of my game, and how it continues to influence everything. I know I didn't get around to showing any kind of like code examples, but I think you can understand how it kind of makes sense, and how it's made things a lot easier. But moving on, I'd just like to talk about Steam. So this is my Steam page. This is the beta version or whatever that Steamworks shows you when it hasn't been approved yet, because it's still very much in the works. Obviously, the screenshots and the the capsule art isn't amazing. However, it will be on Steam soon. Hopefully by the time you're watching this, it would have been approved and you can wishlist it. It's the best way you can show support for the game, so please go and wishlist it now. It would help me out so much. And I'm not going to stop blabbing on about wishlisting Pondlings on Steam from now on, because I'm going to have a Steam page. It's so exciting. So yeah, as I said, it definitely needs work. Everything's a work in progress. So yeah, but just exciting that I'm actually going to have a page up that I can send people to, and you know, all these videos have kind of a genuine purpose, I guess. So yeah. And that's about it for today. I've got so many other topics that I wanted to talk about in this video, but when it gets to a point that I'm stopping myself from actually working on the game to work on the video, I feel like it's just taking too much work. I'd much rather just post little updates, I think, until I'm a little bit further down the line. Thank you for watching, and I will likely see you in another much shorter, less edited video. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Thanks for all the support as well. I've had hundreds of comments, and I've only posted like 2 videos, and I've had hundreds of comments from people saying about how excited they are and how cool it looks. And I've been checking out loads of people's games who are commenting, because everybody's making games, and it's so cool. It's so exciting. So yeah, thank you very much, and hopefully I will see you again soon.